The GoPro Hero 10 has now also been delivered here in Italy, as usual a few days later than for example in the US or Canada. Today we will unbox it and take a first look at it. I bought this GoPro here directly from GoPro's online store. The Hero 10 offers a whole range of new features compared to the Hero 9. It has a new sensor and a new image processor. It is able to shoot at significantly higher frame rates. It can now capture videos in 5K 60, 4K 120 and 2.7K 240. This means that it has significantly more possibilities when it comes to creating slow motion shots. What hasn't changed, however, is the design. Apart from the cardboard, the packaging looks the same as that of the Hero 9. What is definitely positive about this is that, like last year, the large plastic packaging is dispensed with and the case is supplied instead. The case can be used well and a whole range of accessories can be stored in it. So we remove the cardboard. In fact, the case looks exactly like that of the Hero 9 and it also has the same GoPro label. So let's open the case and take a look at what's inside. In the upper part there are instructions and a few stickers. Inside the case there is a tray made of recyclable material. Here on the left we have the GoPro Hero 10 and on the right a number of accessories. There is of course the battery. This should be the same battery as that of the Hero 9 by the way, and it definitely has the same capacity. Then there is a USB-C cable, a buckle mount receiver, and this one is curved, so it's suitable for attaching it to a helmet for example. And we have a thumb screw. Now let's take a closer look at the GoPro Hero 10. First, let's take off the protective films. By the way, you can take out the tray, which is of course also recommended if you want to use the case. As already mentioned, the GoPro Hero 10 looks basically the same as the GoPro Hero 9. What distinguishes it from the outside is primarily the blue lettering. Some people wrote in the comments of my last video that they didn't like it. Personally, I have to say that I don't really dislike the blue lettering at all. Also new is the color here on the outside. You couldn't see that so clearly in the first photos. It is clearly different from the Hero 9. Here we have a Hero 9 for comparison, and as you can see, these are two almost identical bodies. This applies to the shutter button at the top, the mode button on the side door and the fold-out mounts. There is also the water drain on the side. This is to help ensure that the microphones record clean sound immediately after using the GoPro in the water. One could now say that GoPro has dispensed with major innovations. Personally, I would have preferred a slightly smaller camera. On the other hand, you can of course use the Hero 9's accessories. This should also apply to the mods in particular. However, the Max Lens mod is not supposed to work at the moment. However, support is to follow with a firmware update in November. What is new on the body is the coating of the lens cover. GoPro introduced a new water-shedding hydrophobic lens cover that repels water naturally. This means that no water drops stick to the lens and you can film with a wet GoPro without the footage being ruined by water drops. This is a useful feature that all those who often shoot at the ocean and in the water will love. So the time has come to insert the battery and turn on the GoPro. By the way, GoPro provides a micro SD card from SanDisk with 32 GB free of charge with the Hero 10. But only if you order the Hero 10 on the GoPro homepage. In fact, GoPro itself offers by far the best deal. You can find a link in the video description. So let's switch on the GoPro. I choose English as the language, agree to the legal stuff, and activate the GPS. And now I connect the GoPro to the app. To do this, I click on the Add Camera icon. I now give the GoPro a new name. And indeed, a firmware update is available. Before you do such an update, you should make sure that you have enough battery power. Now the GoPro automatically makes the update. Of course, you should never remove the battery during this process. Well, let's take a quick look at the new GoPro. This will not be a review here. I'll be testing the image quality and stabilization in detail over the next few days, and you'll find a detailed review on my channel very soon. I will also take a close look at how stable the Hero 10 is and whether there have actually been any improvements in low light. Today I want to tweak a few important settings and show you a few things. What is immediately noticeable is that the menu has hardly changed either. I find that quite positive. After all, the menu of the Hero 9 was already very intuitive and easy to use. A clear weakness of the Hero 9, however, was its touchscreen. It was simply not very responsive. The functionality of the touchscreen was improved over time and through several firmware updates. The touchscreen of the Hero 10 is now supposed to respond much better and faster, and I have to admit the first impression is actually good. The touchscreen seems responsive and the Hero 10 actually reacts much faster than the Hero 9. Of course, one must not forget that the Hero 9 had an old processor that was perhaps no longer quite up to the demands. Let's take a quick look at how responsive the Hero 10 is compared to the Hero 9. For example, here when switching on the camera. Or when changing the capture mode. As you can see, the Hero 10 is clearly faster than the Hero 9 in all these cases. Now let's change a few settings. I would basically make these changes at the beginning on every GoPro. To do this, I swipe down and then swipe left. Under Preferences and General, I would definitely reduce the volume of the beep sound. Personally, I prefer low unless I'm using the GoPro for skiing. The loud sound of the GoPro beep sound can be quite annoying and noticeable. Anti-flicker is important if, like me, you live in the PAL region, mainly outside the US and Canada. Then you should select 50 Hz here. This activates the PAL frame rate such as 25 or 50 frames per second. These help to reduce the flickering when shooting with artificial light. Under Displays, I activate Landscape under Orientation. This prevents the camera from rotating the image and shooting vertically. Personally, I never take vertical shots. However, a shot could mistakenly start vertically if you use the GoPro on a pole, for example. If you want to save battery life, you can also reduce the brightness here. In the Quick Access menu, we take a look at the front screen options. Personally, I want the front screen to display the image exactly as it looks afterwards. Only then can I really judge the framing correctly. That is why I choose Actual Screen here. The image is then displayed in a widescreen format and is therefore somewhat smaller, but it does not falsify the framing. By the way, the front screen should now deliver a much smoother image than on the Hero 9. Then I would like to show you something else here today. If you select 5.3K under resolution, you will see that the frame rate 24 frames per second is not active. Interestingly, 25 frames per second works. 24 frames per second will only be activated with a firmware update in November. Apparently, the firmware update will also enable the lens super view in 5K. If you select the lens linear with horizon leveling, you will notice that the horizon leveling now compensates for a much stronger angle than before. So I think that was the most important information for now. I'm now going to take my two GoPros out and take a series of test shots. I've already noticed some interesting things in some videos I've seen on YouTube. So I'm very curious to see how the Hero 10 really performs. And that's it for today. If the video was interesting for you, give me a like as feedback. There will be many tests and tutorials about the GoPro Hero 10 to come. So stay tuned and hopefully see you next time.